Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Enriched podcast. I'm your host, William Richman. I have a very special guest today, my cousin, Jonathan Richman. He is now currently residing in New York, but he was out in LA recently, and we're working on getting him back at some point. But
Yeah, I'm
John,
coming back.
yes, sir. Johnny, glad to have you on the podcast, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, cuz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, let's start out with just growing up. So you grew up in a pretty musical household, with your dad playing in bands growing up, and then your sister Juliet also being into music as well. Do you think that attributed to you acquiring that love for it, or did you find that passion completely on your own, would you say?
I mean, from my perspective, it feels like I came to it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would be like dishonest to say that my dad didn't play like a huge part because when I was a kid, he, was from like 2, 3 years old, maybe even before. He was always playing songs on his guitar, like to us, to me, to my
Yeah.
sister, um, which I think definitely had an impact. But I think as far as like discovering like what it means to me and my own love for it,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say my dad probably opened my, like growing up in a musical household, opened my mind to it. And then the
Yeah.
actual like falling into love with it was, in middle school and high school, and like just like kind of finding the love for myself and like what it meant for me, my relationship to music and what that looked like. So,
Yeah.
like a mix of both. Yeah.
Mix of both. Yeah, I remember you telling me a story about how you were in class one day and you had this melody stuck in your head, and you went into the bathroom, right, and like you recorded a voice memo so you wouldn't forget it.
Yeah. That was English class. I was 17. It was Still I Wish You the Best. It was like one of the songs off like the first EP, or this
Mm-hmm.
technically the second EP I released, but the first like official EP that I released.
Yeah.
And I had the idea and I asked to go to the bathroom to record it on my phone because I fucked with it and I didn't want it to, I didn't want it to,
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose it. If I like got home, I probably would have lost the melody. So yeah, I went to the bathroom.
Definitely. I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that,
that's one of my favorite songs you put out. So I'm glad
yeah,
you asked to get the fuck out of class and do
yeah,
that.
me too.
Yeah. So who are some of your biggest influences growing up, and I guess
uh,
currently too?
yeah, I mean, they're kind of that list kind of melts together, but I would say, um, Nirvana was huge. Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, ASAP Rocky,
There you go.
and then you know via you, Mac Miller, who's become like now like probably the biggest influence. But it's like you have like phases where you listen to different like bands, like where I was listening to a lot of prog metal, Animals as Leaders, Tool. I take from that, and then I was also into classical, and I took
Hmm.
from like Benjamin Britten, Edward Elgar, these like classical musicians that kind of
Yeah.
started the sort of like folk structure of like songwriting. Like there's some of these songs that are these pieces that are like they're like old folk songs, but like before Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie, like way way older.
Well. Yeah.
So I take from a lot of different things, but like ones that are staples and like sort of have like leached into my mind. Those people that I said earlier: Dylan, Paul Simon, ASAP Rocky, Mac Miller, and Nirvana.
Yeah. No, it's very like diverse artists too. They're not all kind of under one genre. It's like a variety of genres, and I think I see that through your music, whether it be your individual artistry or your beat making that you're doing it. You're
Hmm.
showcasing that talent through your diverse
Yeah,
influences.
yeah.
And would you say high school was when you started to really take it seriously? Because I remember you started putting out songs in what, like 2016, right?
Yeah,
2015.
26. I think the year I took it, or the summer I took it seriously, was the summer of 2016 when I was 15. Was when I
Mm-hmm.
started to pick, because I had stopped playing the drums for like a couple years, because I started when I was 5, then stopped I think when I was like 12, or maybe earlier, 11, 12, I don't remember. But and then I picked it back up again when I was 15 and picked it back up in a very serious way, started taking lessons again. And then like soon after that, yeah, I started like learning guitar to teach, to be able to write my own music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like first year of high school, I'd say.
Yeah. And do you think, with our connection to Lou Reed through our dads, do you think that played a big influence in you wanting to pursue it?
Well, there's a funny like tidbit about that actually, because technically, I'm pretty sure. I mean, my dad would probably know the answer to this better than I do, but I think he was one of the first concerts I went to. Like one of my first concerts was a Lou Reed concert, and at
Hmm.
that concert, his drummer was Tony Thundersmith, who had given me my first signed drumsticks. It was like this series for his drumsticks. They were signed by him. We went
Hmm.
backstage and he gave them to me, and I was like 6 or whatever. And
Yeah.
then fast forward like 15 years, I'm at Berkeley, and that drummer, Tony Thundersmith, is my
Hmm.
professor, is my private teacher
Really?
at
Wow.
Berkeley, like second or third year, my second or third year, I can't remember which one. But
That's
and I told
crazy.
him first class, I was like, hey, like you were the first person who gave me like a pair of signed drumsticks, and he's like, who? What's your name? I told him my name, and he remembered me, and he remembered like our family and like your dad, my dad, whatever.
Yeah.
That
That's
was a head
crazy.
trip. That was crazy.
Wait, that must have been in Florence, Italy?
No, it was in New York. It was like
Oh,
before. I
really?
don't think I went to Italy with you guys. I don't think I went there with you.
Oh, yeah, you met us in France. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I didn't, but
Yeah, you should have,
blame
dude.
my
It was
parents.
I was I mean, I don't remember much of it, but just, you know,
How old were you
being
when during that concert?
four maybe?
So yeah, probably.
Like 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, we need our dads to get in on this. I don't remember. It's so
Yeah.
long ago.
No, like I just interviewed grandma and she was like asking me about the place she lived in '04, and I'm like, "Grandma, of course I don't remember that." I was 3. Yeah, like that's just impossible to remember stuff from 21 years ago.
Yeah, hardly conscious.
I mean,
Like,
she does it though. She does it.
hey, maybe when we get to our age, we might have that Jew brain.
Yeah.
Be able to remember
the
that.
the Berg genes.
The Berg genes.
Yes, sir. So yeah, how would you describe your sound to like someone who's never heard you before? I mean, I don't want you to necessarily like put a exact definition, but if you can kind of pull from like different genres, how would you describe
I've
what your
actually had a
sound is?
lot of time to think about that specific topic
Hmm.
recently, actually. And I don't think I would describe it as like I wouldn't like I'm not going to answer that question as describing the sound, but more so like the tendencies that are in the music, because I work in so
Hmm.
many different genres and make a bunch of different shit. I
Yeah.
would say there's like a certain how do I describe this? Like when I first started writing music, there were these certain like dips and nuances and melodies and in harmony that I would pick up on when I was like as when I enjoyed music, when I was listening to music and enjoying music. There were things that I noticed I liked, certain
Hmm.
dips and like I said, like just nuances in the harmony and melody. I think my sound consistently, no matter what genre I'm working in, has those sort of like nostalgic, um, longing, sort of emotional expressions in the harmony and in the melody. That's
Hmm.
like the most consistent thing throughout my sound, regardless of like whatever I'm even in like the hip hop shit, even in like the brain rot rap. Like it's all that is infused like everywhere, that like it's hard to describe it, but it's just like I would use like nostalgic and like the feeling of longing. That's what I think I
Hmm.
evoke mostly in what I do.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that kind of goes into what my next question was, just like, what do you want people to feel when they listen to your music? Because I mean, there's certain tracks that you put out, like "Crying Up a Storm." That one, when I
Yeah,
first heard that, gave
good
me like
example.
goosebumps, and I was just like, holy shit! Like this really taps into when I've felt that specific way, like that where I
Right.
just want to cry.
I
And I
mean,
think you're really good at evoking that emotion. But do you think the nostalgic longing feeling is a good way to describe it, or is there more to it?
I think that's the place I come from when I'm making that stuff. But
Hmm.
well, like stick with that. We'll stick with "Crying Up a Storm" as the example. That song, that's where I was coming from. But how people feel it, when they're listening to it, um, is going to be whatever it's going to be, depending on the day they're having, depending on like,
Yeah.
the mood they're in, or whatever. From my perspective, that's the emotion that it's coming from, but it can land in a totally different emotion depending on the person. That's I think the point.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
but I don't think about that when I make it. You know what I mean? I'm just it's just raw expression. So it's like whatever
Hmm.
comes out, and then however people receive it is how they receive it.
Yeah. And so like with songs like that, were you kind of in that mental space in that exact moment when you're writing it, or did you kind of like channel it in a way,
Hmm.
if that makes sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's a good question. I think I was in that space at that time. I was in that space. I wrote it in college, and I
Hmm.
think I was in that space for sure. But there are many times that I'm not in the space of like lyrical content of the song or the emotion where I am channeling it. But in that instance, I would say I think I was in that space for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting how like how that works. 'Cause, you know, sometimes you could start a song and you could really be feeling that emotion deeply, and then, you know, for whatever reason you don't finish it, and then trying to come back to it can be a little challenging because you're trying to replicate how you were feeling in that moment to make sure the energy is consistent throughout.
Yeah, it feels like bad fruit. It's like it's like when you
Yeah.
come back to a song, it's like leaving like I don't know pears in the fridge for like month, you know, like over a month, or I don't know how long pears last or don't last, but over the past the expiration date, and you grab it, and
Yeah.
it's like super mush. That's what it's like coming back to this. That's why usually it's like, yeah, I usually try to finish at least like the if I'm like writing the song. I mean, it depends on the phase we're talking here, but if we're talking about just
Hmm.
writing, I never leave like it's so rare that I leave the song unfinished and then finish it like a week later. I almost always finish it in the like probably in the few days that you
Yeah.
know, that from when I started writing the song. And that's the same thing with production as well.
Hmm.
I never leave it
And
like
yeah,
that.
no, I feel like that's a good way to do it, honestly. And how do you usually start making a song? I know it can differ from song to song, but do you usually start with, you know, drums or the beat or lyrics, or is it very situational?
Writing or production?
Uh, just writing.
Writing. Almost always it's like I'm fiddling, you know, I'm fucking around on the instrument, whether it's piano, guitar, or synth or whatever else.
Hmm.
Um, and then I hear something I like, and then I latch onto that, and then the lyrics come. There are instances like the song Nothing Left. That song, it was lyrics first. Like I
Yeah.
wrote those lyrics in a notepad and then put music to it, which is I think actually the only time I've ever done that. That's probably the only time I've ever done that. But
Yeah.
you know, the thing is too, there is like this weird thing that going into sometimes when I pick up the guitar, I can feel that like the urgency even before I start fiddling around. Like sometimes I'm just like, okay, I want to write something or I need to write something. I should write something, and I like fuck
Hmm.
around for 20 minutes to an hour, however long it takes. But then there's other times where it's like there's an urgency that's like before I even pick up the guitar, where I know I'm gonna write something, like something is just gonna like come out, and I don't have
Yeah.
to try or anything like that. Those are the songs that are really like the most. That's like the point of it. I think that those are the best songs to write because it's not doesn't feel like you're writing anything. It just feels like you're many other musicians have talked about this, like the feeling of like it comes from somewhere else and like it's just coming through you. That feeling
Yeah.
is very very much like I felt that many times, and I mean I think it's true for a lot of writers.
Yeah. It's just where it's just way more natural, and you're not like at your desk working, like trying like going through writer's block, or like, does this sound good or that? It's just
You're not forcing it. Yeah,
you're going off pure just gut instinct.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
But yeah, no, I definitely feel like, I mean, I'm speaking kind of from an outsider perspective, but, you know, I've dabbled with a few, you know, rap songs, and I feel like, yeah, just kind of letting it flow out, just whatever you want to say, is made some of the best songs I worked on, and I'm sure it's the same for you
yeah,
as well.
absolutely. I think most of those most of those songs that come through me like that just like arrive. I don't have to like work for it or look for it. It's just there. Most of those
Yeah.
songs are some of the best songs. Like I'd say 90% of them.
Hmm.
So
And yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. Like, what song, or even like, you know, couple of songs are you most proud of, and why?
that's kind of a trap because it's always like, I think this is like how do I say, Uh, I think this is like the trope of of being a creative is like in any field. I'm always most proud of like the most recent thing I made, obviously, because
Yeah.
it's the freshest.
Hmm.
But overall, I'd say too, like if I had to answer that as far as like the past stuff that's like been put that I've put out, I would say Damsel Eyes is one of them. I think that song is really
Yeah,
good. Like I
it's a
like
great song.
I had the guy who played sax on that was so fucking good.
Hmm.
And he really added like that layer to it. I'd say that, and then I'd say most of Anadonia, honestly. That project, like, was so raw and so like DIY. I did it in Boston with like very little equipment.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just proud of most of that project because I really pushed myself to like go outside my comfort zone with that. So I would say that one.
Yeah. No, I mean that project, yeah, is amazing. And yeah, I feel like you kind of harped on that. It's not always a good idea to, you know, look back at which one's your best, because then you're gonna have a bar kind of set in a way of like how you can
Yeah,
top that as an artist. So I think just appreciating, your strong songs, but also realizing, I
yeah,
can make a song just as good, if not better, but I don't need
right,
to like have that as a bar in a way.
right. There is that spot like it takes a bit of time to be able to appreciate something you've made, but with time, with enough distance, you actually learn to appreciate it more. When it's
Hmm.
like, I'd say like probably takes at least a year to like be able to really fully appreciate what you've done. Because
Yeah.
it's kind of like lust versus love kind of thing. When you
Hmm.
first make something, you feel like lustful about it. You're like giddy about it. You're very happy about it. And then
Yeah.
with time, if that shit really fucks and it's really good, then it's like, you in years you see that you like come back to it and you're like, wow, this was actually really good. I really killed this one.
Yeah.
It just you got to let it simmer for quite a bit before you can decide.
No, definitely. And I feel like just me being like a frequent music listener, sometimes I listen to a song like a lot at first because I really, really like it. And then it gets to the point where I don't enjoy it, because I'm like, oh, Jesus, I've listened to this like 30 times in the past week.
Yeah,
But then, maybe I'll take a couple month break from hearing it and then come back to it. And then it feels somewhat fresh again. And I'm like, okay, wait, now I remember why I like this. So I
yeah.
think
It's
it's,
interesting.
it's,
It's funny because like familiarity is the thing that makes people like, particularly with music. It's like the reason why some of these pop songs use the same chord progression and have a lot of similarities is because it's a familiarity that the masses know and are comfortable with and therefore like it. But there's
yeah,
like a limit to that because if you overdo that, familiarity becomes stale. But it's like a fine
exactly.
line between those, the two of those.
Yeah. No, and I think, with the kind of music you're making, it is very unique, and it's not, your typical pop, simple chord progressions that you hear in pretty much every song. So I think that is, not only just as your cousin, that's why I really enjoy your music, because it goes away from the norm, and
Yeah,
there is a ton of emotion behind it, and it's structured in a way that's not so, oh, here we go again. This sounds like what I just heard on the radio or whatever.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, even the hip hop shit, which I've learned so much doing that shit. Some of the chord progressions of that is so simple. It's really like two chords, sometimes just two chords, maybe three, four chords, whatever. But it's
Hmm.
the same um sort of patterns with the chord progressions. But the art of simplicity is what I've learned working in that stuff is like it teaches you simplicity. There's ways to make it good, even if you have a very basic, simple thing.
Yeah.
There's ways to make it good and like to make it, yeah. So it depends. I think it depends how you attack it, really,
Hmm.
is what I'd say.
And yeah, so how has that kind of been? You started out writing your own songs, and now you're starting to produce more beats for rappers.
Yeah.
How's that kind of been, that creative process?
I mean, it's been super educational. Honestly, I was my partner, Liam, I was texting him the other day because I've been working on this new song. And I texted him a version of it and I said, would not have been able to make this without the knowledge that I've gained in the last year or so, which is true. I mean, I like as far as production and just like there's certain things I've learned from watching like, working with him, working with all these other producers, all these other guys, like, you know, in a genre that I really had no interest in. I mean, like zero. That type of rap to me didn't appeal to me like whatsoever. But
Hmm.
now I actually enjoy it. I actually like listening to it. Um,
Yeah.
and it's cool like to like be able to get into a genre of music by making it. as opposed to
Hmm.
just like, listening to it and then like then making it. It was like I had to make it. And so by listening to it over and over, I started to get it. It starts to click.
Yeah.
Um, it's been super cool. The whole thing's been amazing, honestly. Yeah, I've been loving it.
No, that's awesome. And does it bring you the same fulfillment in a way as opposed to when you're just making everything yourself, the vocals, the instrumentation? Because I mean, that's obviously, probably a more tedious process because it's all you, all organic.
It's different, I'd say. It's different. I don't even know how it's different, but I know it's different. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what I feel when I do it, but I know that like I guess well, first of all, inherently it's more the hip hop stuff is more collaborative. I'm usually working with
Yeah.
other people and it's um yeah, it's just more collaborative, so that in itself makes it very different. Whereas this, working on my own stuff is I'm expressing myself when I'm working on my own stuff. And I'm still to a certain degree
Yeah.
expressing myself when I'm working on the hip hop stuff, but it's
Hmm.
not the same level of expression, of self-expression, obviously.
Yeah. And also, yeah, I feel like just with what you're doing right now with the hip hop producing, you have to, you're working with people. So you have to all kind of be on the same page, which I think, is a challenge in itself. And being able to do that and like
Hmm.
bounce ideas off each other and make it into a cohesive project,
Hmm.
must be
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah. Well, I had worked with people before doing this, but not in this way. And
Hmm.
the thing is though, I'm working with like, I mean, one of my best friends. So it's like it's very easy. And him and I work together very, very well. Like our we just yeah, it's pretty seamless between the two of us. But
Hmm.
even the other guys that I've worked with, even if you don't know them that well, I've had great sessions with people that I just met because it's just like there's just an unspoken sort of like commonality between everybody in the room.
Hmm.
Um, and as long as you're not dealing with fuckheads, which like there are some of those out there, but like as
Yeah.
long as those types of people are not in the room, and it's people who genuinely love music and they want to be making music, it mostly goes fine. Honestly, I don't think I've had like any crazy issues working with anybody.
That's good. That's good. Cause I know, there's certain people that I know of that have dealt with, working with just complete lunatics that are just like too controlling over the project. Like they want their hands in everything.
I mean, it's music. There's egos everywhere, so it happens.
Yeah. And so I guess that kind of comes into my next question. It's flowing pretty nicely. Like what challenges do you have kind of navigating the music industry as a 24-year-old?
My God, I need a fucking bulletin board. um, I mean, you know, it's there are no roadmaps. There's no signs.
Yeah.
It's a free for all for literally everybody. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on both the creative side and the business side.
Hmm.
That nobody has any idea what's happening. It's this whole industry is a mess.
Yeah.
But with time, I've gained realistic perspectives on the industry, and it's been very helpful. I mean, I've had like being an artist is one like there's different struggles in every like depending on what you're pursuing. Being an
Yeah.
artist, like there's having to be your own marketing agent, your own PR person, your own branding ambassador, whatever. Like you have to do all these things that have nothing to do with music. On top of the fact that you have to make your own music, there's a lot to juggle. But on the producer side, it's like you know you send a lot of tracks out. You make a lot of music that most of it doesn't get played, most of it doesn't get used for sure.
Hmm.
That's just the grind, though. I don't think I struggle with that. I think that's just part of the grind.
Yeah.
I mean, money. Like, there's so little money
Yeah.
in this. It's really hard to make money. That's
Hmm.
probably everybody, all my musician friends, we all struggle with that. Obviously, it's like, I mean, some are doing pretty well, but still, there's just not a lot of money in it. And when there is money, it's hard. It's always kind of how do I say this? It's, you're putting in a lot of effort trying to get that, making sure the money gets into the right place kind of thing.
Hmm.
People withholding money. It's people splitting,
Yeah.
unfairly. Those things happen all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's just a fucking jungle, the industry. So and yeah, and also the chaos of it too. That's a strong, like, I'm not a particularly organized person, but it's like there is no consistency in this at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's every day is like you don't know what you're gonna get, which I guess makes it
Hmm.
exciting to a certain extent.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think we do live in such an interesting time with like social media because, of course it does help, put people on the map if they play their cards right, how to really effectively market themselves.
Hmm.
But then on the other hand, like you were saying, it becomes like another full-time job on top of the creation of the music.
Yeah.
And it takes away from that artistry because you're so focused on, oh, how can I market myself as a brand? So for you personally, has that kind of, done more harm than help?
You mean like the social media, like that, just that whole aspect of it?
Yeah, just kind of having to sell your personality in an
Right.
essence.
Right. I mean, to be fair, I get a little somewhat lazy with that shit. So it's probably my fault to a certain extent. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's not something I was ever interested in. I didn't start doing this to do that, but I don't think
Hmm.
anyone really does, or at least I don't think most musicians or artists get into it for that, but you
Yeah.
kind of just suck it up and do it. Like I
Hmm.
said, I'm just kind of lazy with that, which is why I do a lot of like production and behind the scenes stuff because that's just about making the music. It's not about selling yourself. You don't have to do
Yeah.
that. I actually, the older I get, the less I care about my face or name being directly attached to something. Like, of course, your name is attached to something if you produce it, write it. But I mean, like
Yeah.
being the figurehead of the project of the song. I could care less about that. I just want to make music that I want to make, and with people that I want to make music with. That's my
Yeah.
ultimate goal. I could care less if I'm, well known or famous for it. It really doesn't matter to me. I just want to be able to make music for a living, make music I want to make with friends. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've struggled with it. It's been a hard pill to swallow, the social media thing. And I know I have friends who like do people I know who are better at that, who, like either like it or tolerate it more than I do, and they're
Hmm.
doing well with it. I don't think it's necessary. I try not to like, do this or that, like, this or that with like pre-social media and then social media. I try not to like I think there's benefits to how it is now and negatives to how it is now, and then there's also benefits to
Yeah.
how it was before and negatives to how it was before. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And I just think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people, especially, the people I see on social media, they're trying to like sell this persona that they're like this person. And it does take away from the integrity of the music. Like you hear these people that are not that good. Like you're my family, but like I genuinely believe you're better than like 90 something percent of the people I see out there. But they just, have this bubbly, outgoing personality, or they make something that irritates people, and that even like that irritability is it's engagement at the end of the day. So it gets them
I mean,
somewhere.
yeah, I think with that stuff, I've talked about this. I think you and I have talked about this many times before. I've talked about it with all my friends. I try not to, it is like an age of like commodity, like, music commodities, like this kind of thing of like people not appreciating music for the music and more for
Yeah.
like what it means, like not what it means, but like what it sort of like aesthetically, like surface level, what it's like giving off to a listener.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know because there is also the thing is there is a lot more music because there's a lot more, with the internet, there's a lot more niches. So you're getting a lot more artists who you would have never heard of back in the day. Like they would never have been like that music would have never gone out there. And like some of those artists I love are some of my favorite artists. So it's like there's really good music. There's a lot of really good music out there. You just have to dig for it. The stuff that's like propagated to the mainstream, there is actually some great stuff, but there's also, of course, a lot of bullshit and a lot of like just copies of copies of copies. But that was also the case in the 50s. Like the
Yeah.
Buddy Hollies, like that kind of sound, all the British bands in the 60s, the copies of Kinks and all those guys, the Monkeys and whatever. That's the trend that repeats itself in music. There's a popular genre or a popular sound, it's going to get copied over and over again.
Yeah.
That's been happening. It's not a new thing. So it's easy to be pessimistic about it, but I think again, it's I don't know. I think it's just, music. Music's going through a change. I mean, it always is. It's always fluctuating, but right now, especially, I think it's just morphing. It's about to turn into something different.
Yeah. And with like kind of the rise of AI, what do you think about all of that? Because I mean, I think it's a slippery slope because you can pretty accurately emulate, an artist's sound, and then they'll never know. Like eventually, it's going to get to the point where it's like literally sounds the exact same.
I think this is related to what we were just talking about. I think the onus is on the people. I think the onus is on the creators, certainly on the big, business, that Warner, Universal, Sony, obviously, but that goes without saying. It's really the onus is on the creatives and
Hmm.
on the listeners, like the fans of music, people who listen to music. If you care about the art form, you don't want that art form being hijacked by an algorithm. I'm
Yeah,
assuming, right? So like, if like it's like, if you like a certain food, I don't know, if you like lobster tail, whatever. You don't want some like chemical, like, do you want lobster tail or do you want the chemically engineered version of lobster tail? Like, maybe some people do.
it's a good
And clearly
analogy.
some people don't care, because there are bands like this band Velvet Sundown, who's got like 1.5 million monthly listeners. They're an AI band, entirely AI band. There
That's
are 1.5 million
crazy.
people listening to them. So clearly some
Yeah.
people don't give a shit.
Hmm.
That's the fucked up. That's to me the sad part. But
Yeah.
you can't, the advancement of AI and how it affects music and the arts in general. We'll see. We're starting to see it now, but we'll see, as it goes further, where it goes. Regardless, that's going to happen. It's on
Hmm.
us to not necessarily engage with it, I guess, on that
Yeah.
level.
And then I guess on the flip side, though, with bands like the Beatles, obviously you don't have all the members alive anymore, but being able to kind of emulate their sound and put it out there while they because they already created their mass following. They were huge, for our parents growing up. And I think it's interesting to kind of bring that back for people that that sound in a way. Obviously it's not the most authentic, but it's interesting how AI can do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of different opinions on that specifically. There's that, I forget what the song. I know you're talking about that song that came out, that single that
Yeah.
they put out with. They use like the a tape from John Lennon or whatever, and then they put that together. I mean, that's commodity though. That's a commodity. That
Yeah.
right there is like, there's another word I'm thinking of. That's a bit gimmicky. Like, it's kind of a gimmick. It's like, oh my God, we're gonna use this. This is one of the biggest artists of all time. Let's use this new technology to bring them back together. Ooh, like, look, it's like magic. Ooh, it's like, it's
Yeah.
it's very like, the quality of the song doesn't matter. And I'm not gonna speak to the quality of the song because I don't really have an opinion on it, honestly. But because
Hmm.
it honestly doesn't matter. The point is, people only talked about that song because they use AI to bring John's voice back, to bring the Beatles back together. If
Yeah.
if if they didn't use AI, that song would be just like, it certainly would not have been as talked about as it was. Like, that was the whole topic. It was like, oh my God, they use AI for the commodity. It's a
Hmm.
commodity. It's a gimmick. Like, so it's like,
Yeah.
whatever. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, exactly. And then just kind of venturing off into like the next steps of your career. What does success look like to you in, say the short term, maybe the next couple months, next 6 months, and then out more into, let's say the next 5 years or so.
Well, we're always working for placements. We're always sending out tracks, and hopefully, hopefully we get a placement with one of these big artists that we've been sending to, or that we
Hmm.
had our stuff sent to. Um, I'm working on my own stuff right now. I have a project I'm working on, and I'm hoping that I can get the right sort of, I can go about it the right way when I release this one.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for in the next couple, few months.
Yeah.
And then, and also just to connect with a few more musicians here in New York. I mean, I was doing that. I felt that's what I was really fucking pissed about leaving LA. Like, I had a really good, healthy network of musicians in LA that I was really, I was feeling like I was getting more tapped into, and I was, so I was really pissed to have to leave that. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna try, I'm trying to. I have other musicians here as well that I'm friends with. I'm trying to, you know, put myself out there in this scene as well as I did in LA. So
Yeah.
And then I
And
guess what you said 5 years down the line?
yeah, let's like a couple years from now, maybe.
Couple years. Um, I'd like to be producing, hopefully with my friend, but can obviously continue doing the hip hop stuff, but I'd also like to produce for other like genres of, other bands like indie stuff. I'd like to do more indie stuff and kind
Yeah,
of not rely on like this other network to be able to get my stuff out. I'd kind of like to do some, yeah, just like work with up and coming artists that are like really hitting the scene hard, that are building a fan base. I'd
yeah.
like to get tapped in with that, whether in LA or in New York. So yeah.
hmm No, and it's interesting with your whole move because I think there is some value in having this network that you have out here in LA, but also building one in New York, so you can go back and forth eventually, and just when you want to work with this particular person, just stay in New York for a couple weeks, work
Yeah.
on what you got to work on, and then come out to LA, work with someone else. It's
Yeah.
like a completely different genre. So I think that'll just add to your value for sure.
Absolutely. It doesn't hurt to meet more people and just grow the network. 100%. Um, yeah, it's just, it's a bit more scarce here. It's not like LA. LA is like huge with that. It's easy, very easy to network. Like, not to network, but it's very easy to find, to get introduced to people. Like, one person, they'll
Yeah,
introduce you to this person. It's like, which I guess happens here, but it was, at least in my experience, it was happening a lot more there. I mean, I've only, I guess I got to give it more time. I've been here 2 months, but
yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
No, and it's interesting the parallel too between what you're doing and what I'm doing because even in my profession, I'm meeting a ton of people just through other people or just through like conversations at a coffee shop,
Hmm.
a bar, whatever it may be. So I think there are a lot of parallels between the music profession and other professions in that sense.
I mean, networking is like universal to any career. You have to know people. You can't do it
Yeah,
alone. You can't do it alone. It's like nothing happens in a vacuum. So, yeah, I mean, networking is a skill that's important for anybody doing anything in trying to build any type of career.
yeah, exactly. And just if you could collaborate with anybody, any artist, any band currently, it could be someone you've thought about for years, someone that you've discovered recently. Who would it be, and kind of why?
So many, but
Give me like three artists slash bands
okay,
that you would love to collab with. Could even be dead or alive. We could expand it
okay.
that much.
Dive for sure. Dive's like this Brooklyn-based band that I saw actually at the Telegram in LA.
Really.
Downtown LA. Yeah, they were in one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. Actually, it was amazing. They have such like encapsulating sound. It's insane.
hmm
Um, I mean, Mac Miller, obviously, if he was still alive, I would have. I actually think like we like my style would have like meshed well with his.
100%.
But that's yeah. So that one, and then I would say, this is not an artist, but this is a producer,
hmm
John Bryan, who's a
Oh,
composer producer, who produced Circles, Swimming, did the music for Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, worked with Elliott Smith, produced Elliott Smith. At him, I would love to work with him at some point
he did
in my
he did
life.
a lot of stuff with Kanye too, right? Early on.
I think he did work with him a little bit. Yeah, yeah, that might be right. He's worked with a lot of people. He's very tapped in. And then I would sneak in Mike Dean under there too. Speaking of,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good list of people right there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna take a little break, but when we come back, what do we say? A little live performance for the fans.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 4 of the Enriched podcast. I did forget to mention at the beginning of this podcast that song you hear in the intro is actually Good Time song. It is Frame of Mind. I thought it was a good song to choose for the podcast, because we are really tapping into careers and like really doing deep thought on, how this passion came to be and the process and, what's coming in the future. So I thought it was very fitting. And now we're going to get a live performance from Johnny. If you want to take it away.
Yeah, this song is called Bear, and I can explain a little afterward why. Like I titled it that. left me a wad of cash, a cold reminder we never last. I began to let it out. I can see you in my past. What could I do? You were simply too far gone. But the more I miss you, makes this life feel way too long. Makes me mad to think like that. But only time can bring you back. Your last night was also mine. Are you disappointed to hear that? What could I do? You were simply too far gone. But the more I miss you, makes this life feel way too long. What could I do? You were simply too far gone. But the more I miss you, makes this life feel way too long.
Wow,
Yeah,
dude, that was one of the ones right there. I love that one, dude.
that was that song was one of the ones where I was like, I could like I need to. Before I picked up the guitar, I was like, okay, I'm gonna. The reason I called it Bear is because I wrote it when I was watching The Bear, the show,
Oh,
the one
really?
about the show. Yeah, yeah. Because the whole thing, there's a thing about his brother. So the main character Carmi, his older brother gives him this his restaurant, his like shitty sandwich shop, which
Hmm.
he turns into this restaurant, and he died. He was an addict and killed himself, and so it was the way they portrayed that emotion was so like I felt it. I've never gone through that specific kind of like grief or tragedy, but
Hmm.
I could feel it and I could empathize with the characters because they portrayed it so well in the show,
Yeah,
and that's where that song came from.
dude, that's sick that you could pull from a TV show and evoke that emotion into a song is incredible, man.
I get a lot of inspiration from movies and TV, tons.
I feel like that's honestly an overlooked aspect of music is like pulling from different mediums.
I think it's so important if you're a creative, especially if you're a musician, to be watching good movies, watching good TV, reading good books. Like all that shit is so inspiring. There's so much material in there.
Yeah, and it only helps with like the storytelling element of music, I feel like.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, dude, this was a great episode.
Oh yeah,
Um, I'm excited to hear what's next for you, whether it be the production or your individual stuff.
hmm
And yeah, I'll hopefully see you soon. I know you're headed to Japan pretty soon to see a band. Do you want to talk a little
yeah,
bit about that band you're going to see?
yeah. That's Toe. They're like me and my friend's favorite band. They make they kind of make math rock, but it's a bit more. There's some pop elements to it for sure.
Hmm.
and they just, yeah, I mean, it's the music is incredible. Like it's very, very emotive, extremely emotive.
Yeah. No, I remember you showed it to me when I was at your place in Silver Lake, and I was like, damn, dude,
Hmm.
it's different. But like
Yeah,
the more I listened to it, I was like, okay, I like it. Like it, there's
yeah,
something about it that has appeal, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure it's gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
amazing in person.
Oh, I got to try and keep my expectations, managed because I'm getting like way too excited about it. Like it's just like I think I'm hoping it's gonna be one of the best concerts I've ever been to. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, no, and even just the fact you're going to Japan for it, and you're gonna be like where they're from. I think there's an element of that that's special in itself.
Huge, yeah. That's a huge, yeah. That's part of what I'm excited. Like we're sitting in these. I got me and my friend these box tickets that are in these. You're sitting on like floor mats, like Japanese. It's like very like
Oh, really?
authentic, like because it's that's how they watch wrestling. It's like they have. I forget they're called maku something. I forget the name of it, but it's traditional like how you view like wrestling or sumo wrestling matches. You're sat on these these floor mats kind of thing, and it's so we're gonna get the whole experience.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah,
Damn. I wish I could, take a few days off work, come join you guys.
that would be
Sounds like it's gonna be a
sweet.
blast.
Yeah, I mean, if you
So I'll see
can,
what
you
I can
should.
do. See what I can do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But no, this was great, cuz, and yeah, look forward to seeing you soon, and love you, and I'll let you know when this is going up.
Hell yeah, cuz. Love you, bro.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
Peace.
If perfect is as perfect as, then I'll never say no to anything or anyone. If perfect is as perfect as, let this valley take me home.